Screw it. We're good. Woo! Let's go in. Okay, that's good enough. Someone would just mount a camera, like, semi-permanently.
Oh, I got an idea.
All right, where's this camera going? Yeah, you're gonna figure out why I don't do that real quick. Yep, that's why I don't do it that way. Yep. I'm just gonna get a new webcam because that webcam is like the oldest, crappiest webcam that I own. And like the picture quality between that one and this like modern one is night and day. So I'll probably just get a second one of this thing because this seems to be what like every live streamer uses. I forget the Logitech 920 or something like that.
Is it the 620 or is it the 622?
I don't remember.
There's like this slight difference, and I can't figure out which one.
I'll look in my Amazon history and figure out which one it is.
Like you look online, it's like everyone's like, "Oh, what's the difference between these two?"
There's people watching already.
Sad people.
Whoop. Whoop, whoop. That's the sound of the police. Good enough. Yep, that's the problem I got too. I gotta like angle it down because I'm hunched. All right. And let's see, we're streaming. People are in. We're good to go.
Go home, people.
All right. It's Monday, August 21st, 2017. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, we're talking about all the Monday topics that you, the listener, wants. All right. Save that. All right, start on with your opening bit. We're good to go.
All right. So you ever been to Le Pont Quotidien?
I ate there today, actually.
Oh, okay. Anyway, if you don't live in a place that has those, it's a chain restaurant that sort of is kind of unique-ish. It has French-ish food, and you can sit at the big table.
Yeah, good fresh. They used to have a lot of good like takeaway lunch sandwiches, but they really cut back on that to try to get you to pay way more money for basically the same food.
But they sell the big cookie there. There's like 1,000 calories.
I got something I shouldn't have gotten. They had a thing they called
big cookie.
A French cream donut,
and
it was
pistachio tart.
It was basically just a fried pastry filled with like vanilla cream.
Yeah, anyway. So it's a place. And when I go there, usually they have this tartine that's really good.
Oh, those tartines are so good.
It's like ricotta cheese on a piece of bread, and then they put prosciutto and fig and arugula.
I used to get the one that had like salmon and dill.
And then they put honey on it, right?
It's good stuff.
So I was like, you know what? I was like thinking about it, like, oh, I kind of want one of those. And then I was like, wait a minute. That requires no cooking. And no cooking whatsoever. You can just buy bread and a tub of ricotta cheese and have honey, and you buy a thing of prosciutto, and you buy it.
You discovered the ability to make your own lunch?
You can make this thing in like 5 minutes for way less money than they charge. The bread I got at the grocery was not as good as the bread they have, but I guess I could have bought a bread there or made a bread.
I mean, you can buy just baguettes there.
Yeah, but they make it on that tartine bread, right?
No, yeah.
But, the bread from the grocery store wasn't bad. It just wasn't the same bread. But it tasted basically the same. So that was a good time. I was like, ooh. And now I have, like, I have enough to, like, make it again. Like, like twice before I go to PAX at least.
That's not too bad. We're picking up a CSA tomorrow, so we got to cook every night starting tomorrow to use up all that food.
If anyone out there, it's like, when you go to a restaurant or something and you think about the things you're paying for there that cost a lot of money. It's like some of those things, like you go to a fancy steakhouse, they make a fancy steak. It's like you could do that, but like there's
actually that's way easier to do than a lot of the other things. Steak's pretty simple.
It is easy to do, but even if I have the instructions on how to do, it just doesn't.
Oh, you
want to
make a steak like in those places? Just sous vide it. Like it's gonna be fine.
I'm just saying, it's like the way they make. It's like even if I try really hard and follow lots of internet instructions, I just can't get it to taste the same way.
Well, I look at it more like same thing I do with like cocktails.
But
I never order a cocktail that's really easy to make. I order the ones that are a pain in the ass to make because I don't want to make them.
But there are some things that you might be buying at places that for a lot of money that
like computers
that you could make very easily.
Like computers.
Right, but you couldn't make a video card easily.
No, but I can buy.
No.
I can
For
make
example, the recipe for the guac at Chipotle is on the Chipotle website. I've made it. It's ridiculously easy. You know?
But guacamole is pretty easy to make in general.
I'm just saying, you can get it comes out even better than what you get at Chipotle when you buy it there because it's fresh. It just goes bad real fast, so I hope you have a lot of friends and a party to eat it.
So I went out to watch the eclipse, and
everyone went out to watch the eclipse.
Yeah, the streets are all blocked in Midtown. Like
our streets weren't blocked. Everyone was, but there's, I guess, in the Times Square tourist zone, there's lots of pedestrian walking areas, and the sun was blocked by a lot of tall buildings, so people were huddled in masses in the areas where the sun shone through.
Yep. Meanwhile, shadow walkers, like people just actually trying to get somewhere, were like walking in the shadow between all these people. I was trapped in Bryant Park. I actually jumped a fence to get into the subway, and then I walked through the subway to get out on the other side to get away from the crowd.
Oh, I didn't have that problem.
But the craziest thing was that, you know, New York, like strangers don't interact. When a stranger interacts with you, they're either trying to rob you or they're crazy. Or they might be tourists.
When there's a reason to interact,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
It's like, but they don't. There's no reason. They don't even, you don't acknowledge each other's existence. But once you have a reason, which takes some doing, but then you interact with them.
Yep. And I watched a lot of people just like interacting, and more importantly, they weren't just like interacting and like talking about the eclipse. People were like sharing and passing around their different eclipse viewing glasses, and it was like a big old block party. And so I actually I looked at it through a bunch of different kinds of glasses after checking to make sure they weren't fake. I saw easily 24 people seriously hurt themselves looking at it without glasses.
I saw people looking at the sun.
I saw literally, there's this husband and wife, and they're kind of standing behind me, and I hear the wife go, "Man, I wish I brought my sunglasses." And the guy's like, "Mine are working fine." And I turn around, and they're clearly regular sunglasses. And I feel like that guy's going to have a real bad day tomorrow.
I mean, there were a lot of tweets showing stupid people looking at the sun. My favorite, though, was there was one that was like...
Our own president looking up at it.
There was a Twitter search for the words...
Hurt my eyes.
My eyes hurt?
Yes.
And there was a lot of results. And then there was another one. This was the really good one. It was... just clips from NeoGAF discussion. And
I saw that one too.
And it was like a bunch of people like before the eclipse saying like, it's a bunch of bullshit. Yeah, my mom's an eye doctor. Says, people are getting crazy for no reason. And then a whole bunch of posts like, oh my God, no, they weren't kidding. Oh my God. And it's like, I'm a fucking moron. Why did we not believe?
But dude, it was pretty cool. I'm glad I took the time to go and just sort of enjoy it because it didn't get crazy dark. Because we only got like 70% in New York.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't get dark, but it's like I looked at it enough. I had brought my welding glass that I already owned, and was apparently I was like, oh, I have a welding glass. I wonder if that's sufficient. And I went to the NASA safety website.
Yep.
And NASA was like, you need a welding glass of 12, but for some people, 12 is still not good enough. You should get 14. Mine was 12, and I'm like, well, they said it's safe with 12. So I looked at it for like a fraction of a second.
Yeah, even with the glasses that seem legit, I only looked at it for like 10 seconds. I was like, okay, I saw it.
Yeah,
but I was more impressed by looking at the dappling through the trees in Bryant Park because it made a million little crescents all over the ground.
I saw reflections off the buildings, like hitting other buildings. But I made a box with a hole in it this morning. It took like 1 minute.
Yep.
And then I looked at my box with the hole in it, and then I was like, okay.
I'm still amazed at how many people today seem to have no idea an eclipse was happening. Like, how do you live your life and just not know stuff?
I don't know.
How does that happen?
I don't know.
I feel like my feed has been nothing but people talking about the eclipse.
Also, I think a lot of people don't respect the box with the hole in it, right? It's like,
yeah.
Box with the hole in it is real good.
Yeah, like it gives you like
a
very
camera without a film or a sensor in it.
Yep, you don't get the color aspect of it.
Yeah, you do. Why not?
Well, depending which pole, because usually when people make the pinhole, they use it to make the dapple effect and get the outline on the ground.
No, I made a box with a hole in it. It's basically just a camera. You can look at anything through it. It basically lets you look at stuff behind you as long as it's bright enough because it's a tiny pinhole, so you need a lot of light to see anything, right?
So anyway,
if something behind you is real bright, you can just see it in there.
So anyway, that was fun.
Reversed.
And the next one will be a while from now. And I think the best thing I saw about
you could fly around the world to see a different one.
Yeah, the best thing I saw was someone showed during the eclipse's path. They took Google or whatever, one of those traffic sites, and you can see the path of the eclipse in terms of where there were traffic jams when you're zoomed all the way out from the U.S.
What I did is I only looked at the eclipse a little bit because I figure I can see better images of it on the internet than I can, and why risk my eyes even with protection?
Yep.
So I spent most of my time taking pictures of the people. Which, you know,
I saw a lot of people being really into it and cheering, and people were again hurting their eyes and yelling. A lot of people were like,
a lot of people were trying to take a picture of it with their phone, and I'm like, why?
And then I had multiple people ask me just randomly, like, why aren't my pictures turning out? And I was just like, what's wrong with you?
Some people were putting their protective glasses in front of their camera lens.
That'll work okay.
It'll work okay.
The problem is I watched someone do that.
Good luck exposing it properly.
I watched someone do that. They held it and they took their little glasses. They held it in front of their phone. They held their phone up and then they went, because they looked right into the sun with their real eyes because they were holding their glasses.
Yep.
So in some news, Intel is launching their 8th gen core CPUs.
But yeah, they've been going real slow, but I think is AMD with their Ryzen's actually pushing? I don't know what's going on.
I'm not really sure.
It's ahead of schedule. I don't know what the deal is.
I'm not really sure
is NVIDIA pushing?
If the AMD leap forward is going to be sustained or is even really relevant
or not a joke
in the long run.
I don't know.
We'll see how this all goes.
But anyway, the thing is, this new 8th gen is mobile only, laptop only. So this is going to be a big boost for Surfaces and MacBooks and all the things we were complaining, like the last MacBook is sucky.
Yep.
Right? Well, it's now when you get these chips in there, it'll be significantly better, right? But the desktop is not upgraded yet, but it's coming, apparently.
Yep.
But it's not really, I don't think it's going to be a major upgrade for the desktop area, really, unless you're the kind of desktop that's got an Intel CPU with no GPU. If you're that kind, then maybe.
Oh, yeah, then that's the best use case for this. If you want to make a tiny, tiny computer that can play 4K video.
But if you have a GPU in there, I don't think this is going to be better. So I'm going to build a new computer when the 9th gen CPU comes out.
Yep.
Whether it's I think there's one. I'm not sure. There's the one they talk about. There's going to be the 10 nanometer. Is it 10? The next number?
I think so.
And then there's another one they talk about coffee something. So I don't know which one of those.
The thing is, right now, recording.
But I'll wait and see which one of those is the good one.
My ridiculously fast, crazy CPU on my new computer is running at a little over a gigahertz right now.
Yeah, my computer's actually just fine. Even the thing is, again, right? It's not nearly as bad as it was when I had that shady hard drive in there.
Oh, yeah, that was crashing you.
But it's still got some slight weird issues, right? So, for example, I'm not even near the computer, and it detects that headphones have been connected, and the dialog box pops up.
What?
Right?
That's weird.
And then it's not before. It was blue screening with some consistency, but there was one blue screen. I came home from going out, and there was a blue screen once. And I'm like, I want no blue screens, right?
See, that is part of why I upgrade, because my computer was way older than your computer when I upgraded. Way older, but it wasn't that
worried
unstable.
About maybe heat issues, so I'm definitely going to get, it's I could just buy a computer now with super cooling, but that's stupid when I have a perfectly good computer.
Yeah, but I got to say, having gotten my new computer, it's just so nice that it's basically silent. It's so fast.
Yeah, I also want
so
some M2s.
stable.
And also, somebody published this Google Doc. I can give you the link for it.
Oh.
It's basically just a spreadsheet. It's read-only, but someone's keeping it up to date. And it has all of these small computer cases available.
Ooh.
And all their stats in one big spreadsheet. So you can be like, oh. So you could find one that lets you put the GPU in sideways and also allows water cooling, and I can get a really tiny computer that's also godlike.
Yeah, not too shabby.
Maybe. We'll see.
Because when my current HD PC finally dies, that's the route I'm going. There's going to be a tiny CPU and a tiny motherboard with a tiny M.2 drive and one RAM stick, no video card.
Yeah, I got a tiny HTVC, but it's got a 1070 in it.
Yep.
So
I think I
can play all the games.
I think I still got a 460 in the HTPC.
I can play all the games on. Actually, I have a better video card in the HTVC than in my desktop because there's some games over there.
So in some other news, this isn't really news. I just want to point it out because it's kind of funny, and I'm surprised this is being talked about as much as it is. But if you didn't see it, there's this dude who basically complained that he did something with Visual Studio and it deleted like all the code he's ever written.
All right, now this is weird because just a while ago we were talking about someone who was like an intern or just a new hire or at something at a company following the docs to set up their environment and deleting the production database, right? And it's like we blame the company, right? But here, this guy's deleting his own work and we're going to blame him? How does that work? Well, it really just comes down to who was responsible for having backups.
Yeah.
The intern wasn't responsible for making backups. So, and he was following documentation, right? This is someone who installed a piece of software on their own, probably wasn't following any documentation written by anyone else, just doing things without knowing what they do.
And independently, he's probably has one hard drive and has never backed anything up ever.
Deleting their own data and not having a backup. So they were responsible, right? It's just the circumstances. But yet again, we can't, we remind people all the time, but we can't remind you enough. If your data is not backed up, you might as well just delete it now.
Yep. If you couldn't survive literally reaching in your computer right now, pulling the hard drive out from the running system and smashing it with a hammer, you're not backed up enough, and you should back your stuff up.
Yeah, if you did that to me right now, I'd lose data for sure.
Yeah.
But it's not any data I'd give a shit about. All the data I give a shit about is a back it up very nice.
Remember when my SSD
places.
caught fire? My computer was up and running, and I lost maybe a few hours worth of the work I'd done like in the 2 days before it caught fire.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I was fine.
Mm-hmm.
If every hard drive in the room I'm sitting in now died, all of Geek Nights is still online and backed up in a couple different places.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But in much more important news, especially considering the times that we live in the U.S. in particular, iOS 11 is adding a very important feature.
Yeah, so the thing with, is like, we talk about really good passwords, right? And I won't lie, the password to unlock my phone, it's not one of those stupid swipey things like Android, and it's not some crapo 4-digit PIN. It's a real password, right?
Yep.
Which, by the way, iOS has a mode where you can force a real password to unlock your phone. The problem is, if you make that real password a password of any length, of any significance, you got to type that shit in on his iPhone keyboard.
And type it in once in an elevator, and the security company that works that elevator has it now.
Exactly. So that kind of sucks. So typing it in is really annoying. So what you want to do is you want to use, the fingerprint scanner, right? So that you don't have to type it in all the time. The problem is, at least legally in the United States,
as of today, and we're not lawyers.
Right. As far as I'm aware, they can't force you to reveal your password if they say arrest you and question you.
And I believe that comes down to
the Fifth Amendment.
Yeah, the Fifth Amendment, and they can't prove you didn't forget it. So.
Right, exactly. But if you have a fingerprint thing enabled, they can force you to touch it.
You can't say I lost my finger and I don't remember where I put it.
You can chop your finger off and set it on fire.
Yeah. I wonder if that would count as tampering or something.
I don't know, but I'm not about to chop my finger off to protect my phone.
It would depend on what I'd just done and what I was worried they would find on my phone.
Anyway, but how do you get the convenience of the fingerprint sensor, right? Plus, it does add security, right? If you try to use the fingerprint scanner 10 times, my phone's just going to erase itself.
I just thought of something, actually. One way you could do it, make a rubber finger.
And by the way, I don't give a shit because I have backups.
Make a rubber finger pad that has a pattern that you just draw, like in Illustrator or something, and then you print it. You use that to unlock your phone, and you just tear it off your finger and throw it away.
I don't know. But anyway... so they're adding a new feature, supposedly. We don't know. This isn't for sure. We'll find out when the next iOS actually hits, but it seems pretty confirmed. They're adding a new feature where you can disable the fingerprint. So I think I read something along the lines of like you push the power button like 5 times fast or something.
Yep, I got a quote here from a Slashdot headline. This presents you with the emergency SOS option, which you can swipe to call emergency services. It prevents your iPhone from being unlocked without the passcode.
Yep, so you basically hit the power button 5 times, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now you need the passcode. The fingerprint sensor has been disabled until you re-enable it. So now you're about to go to the airport. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then don't unlock your phone until you're through all the security bullshit and on the plane.
Now I feel like
when you're heading towards the customs in the other airport, go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so forth. And now even if they try to search your phone, it's like good luck, assholes.
Now what I would really want is a step beyond this. However, I realize that if they made what I want, a lot of people who use iPhones would fuck up and do this to themselves. But I want the option where if I put in a different passcode or like I swipe a different finger, it immediately just wipes the phone.
Oh yeah, like if there's my real password, and then there's another password.
Yep.
Maybe the password should be delete my phone and press
Yep.
enter.
But what
And
it should
then-
do, what it would do is one, it should immediately log in to a like pretty generic interface with
A
no
completely
accounts.
blank iOS screen that looks like you just set up iOS with no
Yep.
data whatsoever.
And meanwhile, while it presents that screen, it is deleting everything.
Yep.
That's what I would like. Kind of like in certain,
The thing is, everything on the phone is already encrypted, so deleting it it's like, all right, whatever. Yeah. And if you're not going to trust Apple, who seems to actually, for all we can tell, they seem to actually care about the privacy.
Oh, where
legit.
was it? I read someone
They were
claimed-
refusing to help unlock the dude's phone, remember?
I think
So
someone
it's like,
claimed to have a proof of concept of compromising the security coprocessor on iOS, like a recent
I mean,
iOS.
anything is possible, but the point is Apple seems to care.
Yeah.
So even though there may be vulnerabilities, I think we can trust them, at least on this one aspect.
Well, also, based on the pressure they've been under, I get the
the fact
impression...
that they would develop this feature earns them credit,
yeah.
right? They're not 100% trust. No one is, but it's like, if you're not going to trust Apple after all they've done, at least in this one area, I guess you're just paranoid nut job. Might as
Yep.
well just make your own computer with the soldering iron.
Well, it's we talked about this a long time ago. You gotta trust someone.
Yeah.
Or if you're not gonna trust anyone, you're gonna live a real hard life.
I'll trust someone who makes this feature and fights the FBI, right? So
Nah.
I'm glad this feature's coming. So yay.
All right, that's enough news. Oh, people in the chat. Oh, there's like 15 people in here, and they all want to know what the hell we're gonna talk about. Are they gonna find out? All right. Let's see.
Sad people. Why you got nothing better to do, people?
Remember the one guy who said he was pooping like every time. He's like, I'm pooping. What
You
what else
poop
am I-"
you poop every other day.
Scott, I poop on a schedule, so
He's at the same schedule as Geek Nights, Monday, Wednesday. The next week he poops
I don't
Tuesday,
know.
Thursday.
I don't know.
Or does
Maybe
he just poop every single day around Geek Nights time?
I feel like if you listen to too much Geek Nights, your poops synchronize with us. I don't know, because we're pooping out the mouth onto the internet, so they just poop. All right. But anyway, things of the day. I think I've seen people tweet like panels from this comic before, but someone finally linked me to the comic.
Yeah, this is one of those things where it's like you don't realize it's a continuing webcomic because you see it tweeted occasionally, but you don't follow it.
I usually would see the one where this rabbit's just sitting there and he's like, oh man, what a fucking beautiful day. Look at that flower. Holy fuck.
Yeah,
What
I've seen that one.
Yep. So this is the comic, False Knees, and it's basically that. And I basically went through the whole archive.
I haven't read webcomics in so long. I gotta get back on that train.
You do. You're
somehow.
missing out on a lot. I mean, Dr. Ninja is completely done, and
I
it
know.
was
I
great.
just haven't. I had to get back on the webcomic train, catch up, and then
Cucumber Quest has
and then
like
I can-
escalated
I
to a
read
degree.
Cucumber Quest in print. I have a bunch. I have like at least 3 volumes, but I've only read the first one.
You don't even know like Nightmare Knight's deal. Like
I
know.
have to restart it. I basically forget everything.
You know what? I could read the whole thing again. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Order of the Stick has been escalating rapidly.
I'm sure it has. I haven't read.
Lot
I haven't
of,
read like any webcomic in over a year or two.
What was
so
the last thing you remember happening in Order of the Stick?
There was like they were at this like
Is anyone a vampire?
yeah, the dwarf was a vampire.
Okay.
No, the dwarf was dead inside a dwarf vampire who was at the meeting of all the clerics.
Okay, you're not as far behind as I thought you were. That's not so
That's
bad.
when I stopped reading webcomics.
But there's good stuff going on in there now.
Uh-huh.
SMBC, XKCD, Penny
Uh-huh.
Arcade today was.
Penny Arcade is one of the comics that I still I probably haven't read all of them since I stopped reading webcomics. By the way, to stop reading webcomics wasn't intentional. It was just like an accident.
Yeah.
And now it's like too daunting to catch up. But Penny Arcade will tweet like new comic and I'll click it and I'll read. So
The one today was pretty good.
yeah, it was good.
But False Knees is just cute, and if you want to see animals, just read it. It's hard to describe why I find it funny.
All right. So here's my thing of the day is this trailer for a movie. And I think it's an independent movie, or is it British? I don't know who's made it. It doesn't seem like a Hollywood production. But it's a dark comedy about one of Rim's favorite not good people, the Stalin.
Joseph Stalin.
Bad guy. So basically the movie is about Stalin dies.
Yep, like in his office alone.
At like the beginning. And there's a whole bunch of other people who then freak out.
But it looks like an all-star cast. It's like the Arrested Development / Curb Your Enthusiasm / Best in Show kind of freak
It looks,
out.
and the way the trailer is set, it looks like the opening to Snatch, where they're like the son,
Yeah.
the politician,
The general.
the general. It's like, oh, so you got all these, all the cast of characters all getting all mixed up because Stalin just died, and somewhat seriousness, but also mostly comedy.
Yep.
right?
I legit laughed just watching like half of the trailer. Like,
Yeah.
this looks really good.
This looks way good.
And bonus points for the fact that it is a movie made in English, set in Russia, and instead of having everyone talk in fakey Russian accents, they just talk like themselves.
yeah,
Like,
no,
they just
no
talk.
one's trying to do a fake Russian accent, which is nice.
Yeah, that counts for a lot. But
Mm-hmm.
this movie looks real up my alley.
Yeah. So checked out this trailer. Is the movie out yet? I don't know anything about the movie's release. You're going to Google that yourself.
I'll have to type it into IMDb. I'm not even going to do that right now.
Yep.
So in the meta moment, the book club book apparently is still Dune.
No,
so,
it's not. It's The Fifth Element.
Well,
I
but-
started reading it on
But
the
I'm on the Geek Nights website and it says book club.
I started reading
Dune.
the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin on the train just now on the way here. I'm in the prologue way.
I was gonna do that, but then I read The False Sun on the way to work,
Because you know what I realized?
and I read the other story on the way home.
I realized recently I found a way to make a simple but significant life improvement, right?
All right,
I finished basically playing Race for the Galaxy on my phone.
yeah, I
was-
win about 66% of the time now.
Yeah.
and I think I can literally not do better.
But anyway, I was done. I'm like, all right, I'm done playing Race for the Galaxy on my phone. And I started trying to play Warbits, which is Advance Wars. But the problem is it's not easy to play. The levels got more complicated. So I couldn't play them in one train ride or one poop or anything anymore because they're real levels now, right? They have like airplanes and stuff and not even boats yet. And it's already too much. So, and I'm like, got 2 opponents. Oh my God. So I'm like, I'm going to get a new game. And I went through the App Store to look for a new game. And I didn't really see much worth playing, even stuff that cost money. There wasn't, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna play phone games anymore at all.
Just gonna read?
I'm just gonna read. I'll use the Kindle app instead of all those games.
It's not a bad idea.
So whenever I feel like playing a phone game, just open Kindle app, read pages,
Once it's winter again, I'll start
and I can just do that.
listening-
I'm just gonna do that forever. I'm done with phone games.
Because when I'm
Not
traveling,
a good use of the short time in my life.
rather than reading, what I usually do is listen to podcasts. But when I listen to podcasts, I pretty much listen to Pseudopod and podcasts like it, like short contemporary fiction.
That's not to say I'm not gonna play any phone or mobile games. Just I'm only gonna play significant, meaningful ones. Like
yeah.
Like, hey, let's play a Carcassonne while we're waiting. Or, hey, I'm going to play this Warbits for serious. Or, I'm going to play Hearthstone, but I don't want to sit at the computer. Or,
Yeah, well,
you
playing
know.
Race for the Galaxy is just wrote at this point. So,
Yep.
So yeah, the 5th season will be the book club book, and I'll probably read it to and from PAX.
This is a relatively new, super award-winning, oh my God, awesome book. And it won the Hugo Award 2 years ago or last year. And the sequel to this book won the award this year. And the third one in the series just came out. So I'm probably actually just going to read the whole series, but we'll do the book club book after reading just this first one.
Multiple people who are already fans of this stuff have come out of the woodwork in the forums to be excited. So I'm actually getting more and more
This
hype
stuff
about
is
these
like
books.
that's why I picked it, because it's like the biggest deal in the sci-fi fantasy novel world right now.
And now that I sort of, my momentum of reading The Prince of Nothing kind of overran into me literally reading the entire appendix. Like, I know there's a lot of entries that are just, Man of the Tusk died on this date in this battle. I read that entire fucking thing.
I didn't read. I only read a few choice entries. That
Some of the
interested me.
ones that don't look like they're going to be choice, that are like a paragraph, but they seem like a lame heading, pretty choice when
And-
you read them.
Well, tell me what those ones are.
Yeah, here's the rule. Just skip anything that starts with Man of the Tusk. Because
Okay.
those are the only ones that are just like, all right.
What if it's Man of the Tusk and you skip it, and then meanwhile that second sentence was like, oh,
Because I read
went on
them
a
all.
journey to Iana, and
Because I read them all.
oh,
and
you even read the Man of the
the
Tusk
only
one.
one that gave me any pause, and I don't know if it was a mistake, was that it did not list a death year for Conphus. So
I know. I read that.
I really want to see Conphus come back.
Other people who thought were dead came back, so why the fuck not?
And also, Conphus's greatest moment in all those
And
books
Conphus is your boy.
was when Nair bent him over his knee and spanked him.
Yes.
I'll never forget that scene.
Good old spanking.
That was a real good scene.
Also, meta moment, right? if you're either watching this on YouTube or you're listening to this podcast somehow.
Yep.
Right? That means you must really be, that you shouldn't be wasting your time on that, just like I'm not wasting my time on phone games. But I guess if that's what you want to do, you should know that there are other ways to interact with us on the internet. They're probably more worth your time, like Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. You can just Google for Geek Nights or search for Geek Nights on whatever your favorite social media service place is. We're probably there already. We even have an Instagram that we only used one time, but we'll probably...
Yeah, if you type Geek Nights into Google at this point, we're literally the entire first page.
I'm thinking, it's like my instinct is
There's a TV Tropes article about Geek Nights.
Yes, there is. I don't know who wrote it, but anyway.
There's more in here than I expected.
Right. One sad person wrote
We
it.
used to have a Wikipedia till that crazy guy petitioned to delete
We're not
it.
notable, so we shouldn't have one. Anyway.
We won the Parsec Award.
Sure. Whatever. That's not notable either.
I got it here.
Sure. What was I saying? All right. I'm trying to decide, on the one hand, I feel like if we make content, we should put the content out on every possible channel. That's sort of been what we tried to do. But now I'm thinking hey, maybe we should do a content on this channel, then a different content on that channel, and not force people to follow us in all the places, right? It's let's do an Instagram live stream. Let's do a YouTube live stream.
I've thought about that,
now
but I
let's
feel
do a
like you just
Periscope.
fracture. I don't know anymore.
I don't know either. Anyway, but yeah, the most important place you should go that's actually worth spending your time and not a waste of time is our forum, which is at our website. So if you go to frontrowcrew.com, at the top of the page is a link for forum. You could also just go to community.frontrowcrew.com.
If you go to forum.frontrowcrew.com, you'll find the old forum that has hundreds of thousands of posts that we have archived.
It is read only, but it is public and will be maintained like Han Solo, but not unfrozen. But the current community is community.frontrowcrew.com. You can come and hang out there. If you register, it's going to ask you to type in the reason you are registering. Someone registered today and was share ideas and talk with like-minded people.
Clearly a porn spam bot.
Something like that they wrote. That is not a good reason. That is not going to get you through. Someone else wrote something along the lines of, some people on the podcast told me to type something here. I hope this is going to get me in. And
that'll get you in.
And it's yes, that got you in, because now there's no way that is generic. Right? That is someone who clearly heard this message. So there you go.
So yeah, and our forum's kind of rocking. So you check it out. There's cool stuff in there.
We have said this for a few episodes now, and people took our words, heeded our words, and have joined, and have thus increased the forum's potency. So you can add to that potency by following suit.
All right. You got the list of biz. Oh yeah, I guess I'll mention PAX and then the list of biz. Yeah. Yeah. And last and certainly not least, there won't be much Geek Nights next week, meaning there won't be any Geek Nights next week.
And maybe not even the week after.
But there may, because actually I'll be out of town the entire next week as well. Because I'll be in Park City, Utah.
Oh, good luck with that.
Yeah, mountain biking, so that should be fun. Last time I went, I flipped over on a ridge and landed on a tree stump and got a bruise.
Right, this is the last
the
episode.
size of a softball.
All right, everyone,
plus.
this is the last episode of Geek Nights. The last episode.
There'll be one more episode. We're doing DuckTales on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday will be the last episode of Geek Nights. So,
Not gonna lie, mountain biking is more dangerous than skiing, but it turns out I'm really good at mountain biking. But anyway, we will be at PAX West, and Emily and I will be at also PAX Dev. We will be in Seattle for at least 8 days. Scott will be there for 6 days.
I'm going to be there from Thursday. I'm going to get there Thursday and leave on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're going to get there Monday night. Tuesday, Wednesday is Dev. Thursday all day is just us sticking around in Seattle, and then PAX starts the next day. So yeah, I guess how late are you getting in on Thursday?
I don't know.
We'll check that later. We can always get dinner or something.
I'm sure I'll definitely probably be there for dinner, right?
You better. Yeah,
I'm not getting there super late.
Because we were thinking about we might go hang out outside of the places we normally hang out. Like hang out with Ron Jeremy or something. We'll see. Because we're just around all day and there's nothing. PAX Dev ends a day before PAX West starts. But on Sunday, at September 3rd at 6:30 p.m. in the Hippogriff Theater. Hippogriff starts with H, so you can assume it's in the Hyatt.
It's in the Hyatt.
We're doing The rage of the quitter. We're talking specifically about people who quit games in a butthurt rage. Why and how they do that. I think it'll be pretty fun.
All right. So,
okay, go for it.
All right. So, we were going to talk about this last time we did a Monday show, but I guess we forgot like a minute after we said we were going to talk about it. But we're having trouble with the Monday show ideas, right? It's not easy to come up with them, partially because like technology moves fast, but it's not moving as fast as it did. And also we're less into it than we were before. And most of the things that change are small, like, Intel CPU increased a generation.
But like, here's a good example. There was a time when which motherboard you chose had a huge impact on how well your computer worked. We are way past that point. It usually doesn't matter.
Yeah, the other thing is like, consider like anime. It's like there's always new anime series coming out.
And
right?
I'm watching
there's
bunch,
always
you're
new,
just not.
There's always new games to talk about in the gaming show. But it's like, it's like there's not new technology to talk about in the technology show that much, really. It's
Well, there
it's
is.
like there was some, but it's like think about it. It's like when early days of Geek Nights, it was like, oh my god, this iPhone's now versus now where it's like the 7th iPhone is here. It's slightly different from the previous.
Smartwatches
iPhone.
existed. Now smartwatches haven't changed.
Right. So
in
it's
fact,
like,
they got worse because
and
Pebble's gone.
all the other show ideas for tech we've already done, and we're hard to come up with new ones. So. I don't know what's gonna happen. We might have to change. We haven't early.
I just want to. I was thinking about changing the format of Monday to. And while it seems like a semi-lame idea,
we can change the format to whatever we want. No one's paying us to do this.
We've
and
said
also,
this for 12 years. We've never changed the format of anything ever.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Is like our original intent was to keep changing the format to find something that worked. But I guess we're not using any metrics to judge what works.
Well, also,
but it's like
we've never even experimented.
Right. So I think we're going to just start experimenting with Monday because otherwise we got nothing.
So if you got any thoughts on our Monday show as opposed to the other, specifically Monday, that's all we care about right now.
Yeah, the other shows are fine.
Then just let us know what you think. The best I can come up with is a lot of other tech podcasts tend to just be basically go through all the Slashdot headlines from that day and just talk about them. But I found that those people
news, they just do Tech News Roundup only, which is why I don't want to do.
But at the same time,
that's the main reason I don't want to do Tech News Roundup because literally it just makes us the same as every other tech podcast.
But at the same time, I feel like we provide a very different feel and a very different perspective.
There is no question that our Tech News Roundup is better than anyone else's.
We're not Dvorak, just not knowing stuff.
Yeah.
We don't know a whole different set of stuff.
Our Tech News Roundup is better than anyone else's, but I don't want to just do that. That's like, we're just doing the same show everyone else is doing, right?
But at the same time, the format is almost just, it's like the substrate just to give us an excuse to talk. Because what I've learned over the years, especially for the Thursday shows, is that Geek Nights hit its stride when we had a topic that was just an excuse for us to talk for an hour. It did not matter what that topic actually was. A lot of the early Geek Nights, we never even got to that topic.
Anyway, so I tweeted out today on the Geek Nights account, I said, tell us your Monday tech show ideas. Our well has run dry. And people submitted ideas. So we did this for Thursday previously when we were dry on Thursday. We are still sort of dry on Thursday, but not as dry as Monday.
Thursday's going to pick up because there's a lot of movies and things.
Yeah,
so.
But we did an episode like this for Thursday before. We just went down a list of Thursday show ideas and basically hit them all real fast. So people tweeted Thursday ideas. We got all these replies to this tweet I'm going to go through. But I just want to also mention some people sent in numerous ideas. Most of these ideas are from like 3 people. One person did way more than everyone else. That's a somewhat that guy thing to do. You should be sending in like one really good idea, not a fucking flood of ideas. That's sort of like the guy at the convention who comes up at the end and just like keeps talking at you. It's like, come up and say your one nice thing and then go. Don't just keep talking at me, dude, when I'm not like replying to you.
Of course, at the same time, if I say you submit one thing to someone and then you look and see that literally no one else is giving them anything, then you fill the void.
No, then you're like, that's even weirder if one person sends a whole bunch and no one else says anything. At least we got a few people in here, right?
Well, I guess the other thing is quality forgives almost all. So if those ideas were all good, then all's forgiven.
Well, maybe. But, just to save time, I'm not going to, and also not to call out possible. I mean, this isn't like I'm not going to say if you do this, you're definitely that guy. I'm just saying it's like that guy-ish thing to do this. Right?
I'm soft on that.
Sort of like someone who sends too many fan letters, right, into the fan club.
Yeah.
As opposed to the one tasteful fan letter, right? But anyway, so I'm not going to say who tweeted what. I'm just going to go through the ideas, and we're going to judge them on their own merit and not based on the merit of whoever tweeted
All right,
them.
I'm ready to type these into Google because you're going to see how we do the show.
All right, so the first one was someone who I guess has hearing problems and doesn't realize that the FIX protocol is the FIX protocol.
People in the finance industry don't know that.
This person wrote the FIX-IT protocol. It's FIX, as in F-I-X.
Do you know what it stands for? It says Financial Exchange Protocol.
I thought it's interchange.
Nope, Financial Exchange. They use the X because I don't...
But what's the I then?
Don't get me started. FI, financial.
Oh.
FI for financial. X for the second letter of exchange because fuck you.
It's not the fee.
the
fi, fee, fi, fo, fo.
So wait, they want to learn about the FIX protocol?
Yeah, now, I mean, Rim really loves talking about the FIX protocol.
I want to qualify that. I am a world-leading expert on the FIX protocol.
Sure, whatever.
There is a fine distinction between knowing a lot about something and enjoying the fact that you know a lot about something.
The point is that there's not really. I mean, what do we? If we
I
do
could do an hour show on this.
If we do a show about any protocol, HTTP, TCP, any protocol you come up with, right? It's like that's basically just reading documentation out loud at you, right? There's really no point to doing a show like that. There's not any opinions to add or anything. It's literally just. Here's how the thing works. So you could make a podcast. You could make a podcast, fucking Protocol of the Week, and that would be a garbage podcast, and people would basically find the episode on the one they needed to learn about, and then they wouldn't listen to it because just reading the documentation is faster and better.
I think that would actually be kind of interesting, especially because
if you want to make Protocol of the Week the podcast, that's all you.
Why don't we do a Monday show on APIs? Because I got a lot of opinions about like SOAP versus REST and all the different ways people make APIs and like how they serialize data and how some things do it well and some things do it poorly.
It's not much.
Example of that's like literally what Monday is.
And that's the other problem is that is a thing that is very, very poorly communicated with audio.
I realized without diagrams,
without you just need text.
Yeah, diagrams would help a lot, I think, too.
Anyway, the point is,
I think
it's not a good show.
But I could do a full hour talking about the FIX protocol. It'd be more like a college lecture, though, in the sense that even without diagrams or anything, I feel like I could provide a sort of like the background. Like if, think of this: if someone wants to learn more about something, it helps for an expert to at least guide them toward the important broad strokes and like the big picture of a thing.
Anyway, let's continue. So
I'll give him a brief summary. So the FIX protocol is basically this ASCII string.
We have to get through a whole bunch more things here.
All right. Couple sentences. ASCII string format to send data between financial institutions or systems.
We're not actually doing these shows now. I don't think you understand. We're shooting down these ideas. And
I think it's a fine idea, though. I could go for an hour.
If you could go for an hour, then do a show on it later. We're not actually doing any of these shows now. The show is going through the ideas.
All right, fine. 35 equals 3.
Anyway, so the next
Actually,
one...
no, the 35 equals 8, 39 equals 3 is a good joke.
So the next one...
35 equals 3 would have been a
right,
I digress.
Convention 101, how not to suck at registration system, both pre-sales and on-site. First of all, it's not a Monday show.
So that topic...
Second of all, we've done that show.
I would want to say that topic, there is a Monday component and a Thursday component.
Sure, but we've done this show, and it's not a Monday show.
I think there could be a Monday show there pretty easily.
We've done this, though.
When? What episode?
We talked about conventions so much, I'm sure we've definitely discussed.
We've never talked about
registration more than anything
the
else.
technology side of it. How do you load balance? How do you have systems that will concurrently handle all the people attempting to queue?
You're talking about the buying part.
Yeah, that's how you can split into two. The Thursday part we have talked about that.
But it has nothing to do even specifically with registration. It's just like have enough computers for the number of people that are visiting.
Yeah, that's an overly simplistic way to look at it, I think.
That's all there is to it.
No, it's not, because most of these systems care about the order that people attempt to register, so it can't just be parallel.
Don't have a stupid system like that.
So what do you mean don't have a system like that? It's just going to be random when people hit like the Penny Arcade whatever to get their badges? Who gets into the queue and who doesn't?
No, it's just fucking you go to the site, you buy badges. If you click buy after they're sold out, you don't get them.
All right, so how do you deal with the giant load?
You have enough servers to handle the load. The people do the queuing systems because they're too cheap. They won't buy enough fucking servers, right? Just pay for this thing is up for like hours before it sells out, right? And if it's not something that's going to sell out, you don't need this to begin with. So if you're that big that you're selling out instantly, pay the money to turn on like 1,000 fucking servers on Oz so you can handle this enormous load.
All right, how do you
all the tickets,
how do you architect your thing to take advantage of that massive parallelism?
and then turn them all off?
How do you architect your thing to take care of that
You
massive
just use
parallelism?
regular old load balancers. It's not a big deal.
How do load balancers work? We've never done a show on that.
I think we have done a show on load balancers, in fact.
I don't know if we have.
That's a good load balancers is a good show if we haven't done it.
Yeah, because actually load balancing is way more complicated than you probably think. Like, load balancing will fuck up your day.
But anyway.
And load balancing plus SSL.
Anyway. All right, so next idea. IoT, which if you don't know is Internet of Things. Hype, promise, scary, and reality today. So
that's a whole show.
the thing is, internet, no, because I can answer the whole thing in like
So you
2
always say
sentences.
that with utterly simplistic, pointless answers that don't actually drive into the root of the problem.
They do. Internet of Things. So here's the only question is a thing an I/O device or is it a computer, right? It's like I could plug a toaster into a computer in which by USB or something, in which case my computer is now controlling a toaster with I/O.
Yeah.
And controlling turn it on, turn it off, toast, timer, whatever the controls are, right? And now merely I'm controlling the controls of the toaster with, a digital machine.
Obviously,
Or
no one cares about that semantic argument. They want to talk about the idea of increasing automation.
If I put a computer into the toaster, is the toaster now a computer? Right? And if it is
You're continuing on that pedantic nonsense.
Yes, and if the toaster is now a computer because it has its own computer, you have to worry about like updating it and all this bullshit. But you wouldn't have to worry if it was merely an I/O device attached to another computer.
Nothing you said is the interesting problem, or the interesting
if
question.
It's connecting itself to the internet and it's an extra, everything is just another computer
Yeah.
connected to the internet.
And that's not the interesting or
It's not
controversial
any
part.
different from any other computer.
The
connected to
interesting topic there is around, one, there's the security aspect of how do you secure a world
Which doesn't
where
matter if you don't have your toaster be a computer and you just have it be connected to a computer.
then the computer still has to be secure.
Which is
now,
the same as all security concerns for any computer.
which have still not been effectively dealt with
Internet
by...
of it, being a thing doesn't make it any different
no,
from
it
any
doesn't.
other computer.
Yet again, you're hung up on this ridiculous
A
semantic
computer is a
nonsense.
computer. There's no such thing as a thing.
There's a big difference between a very small number of computers or a very large number of computers spread out among mass consumers who don't know shit about computers in terms of where and how you secure them. And also, the consequences of that security are much more drastic when it starts to increasingly control things that affect your physical meat life, like, say, the hot water heater or the, shotgun that you tape to your door with a solenoid. But the
Anyway.
interesting topic there is more around, aside from the security problem, the uses that are good or bad, or how, say we solve the security problems and the ease of use problems, there are a lot of really interesting things that could drastically change our lives.
Yes, if all the things that you have to control and interact with on a daily basis can be very improved by being controlled by a computer and not having to be controlled by your hands and your brain constantly.
Yeah, and I think there's a whole topic there, and there's a separate topic in the middle of, right now, most Internet of Things don't actually do much and are more trouble than they're worth, and their automation is counterbalanced by their ridiculous configuration problems, bad UX, and in many cases, poor failure
modes.
modes.
And this is why I'm saying all of those Internet of things should not have their own computer. They should not be a computer.
Again,
they should simply be I/O devices controlled by the computer you already have.
Again, however, I don't think that is the question anyone's asking, nor is that the interesting question.
I mean, they're just I think by designating them as things semantically when they're just more computers, I think you sort of create confusion, right, where there is none. If you just say, like when people talk about the cloud, if they just, instead of saying the cloud, just say someone else's computer, it really simplifies the discussion, right?
Yeah, well, there's a separate problem of, people who know technology on a broad and reasonably deep scale versus people who have a shallow knowledge versus people who don't know anything. All three groups use very different nomenclature, and more importantly, the implications of a lot of these words mean a lot of different things. Like, normal people hear cloud and have a lot of really wrong apprehensions about what that means.
That's why I'm saying people say Internet of Things and they have a lot of wrong ideas. You should
But
just
I'm
say,
saying if
is
you
your,
ignore
Internet
those
of
people,
Internet of Things means instead of your toaster being connected to a computer, your toaster is a computer. That's what it means.
But I would say that you ignore the people who don't understand that, and we trust that the listener is intelligent out there, and we talk talk about it from the perspective of if computers controlled everything in my house, what the fuck happens?
Anyway.
Because that's an interesting question.
All right, next one. Top X software thing you can learn to make money but be bored.
Fixed protocol.
Spelled like board game.
Fixed protocol, database architecture.
Put of your mind in doing. So,
Fixed protocol, you'll make a shit ton of money and you will hate it. It's so boring.
You want to make a lot of money. You want to basically find a job that pays a lot.
Enterprise Java development. If you're a good programmer,
do job searches. Find a job that has a high salary, and they're only willing to hire someone who knows some specific proprietary thing. It's not like Top X. There's like a zillion of these things out there, right? Each industry. How many industries are there? Has some really specific thing that they use, right? Like I'm sure it gets really how many applications are specific to like the pharmaceutical industry or the manufacturing industry.
Well, there's the rub.
Any industry you can think of has some specific piece of software that they use that you've never fucking heard of.
If you are just a programmer, you've got to be.
If you become a master of any one of those, you will have a job in that industry for as long as
the industry
uses that thing.
If you're just a programmer, you've got to be very good to get a high-paying job. If you are an okay programmer,
Are you saying I'm very good?
Or I would say so. Or even a mediocre programmer, but you also have expert domain knowledge in a non-computer field, you will make as much money, if not more money, than the very good programmer.
Anyway.
So either be very, very good at one thing like programming, or be good at one thing and passably good
I don't
at
think
programming.
you understand how many tweets we have here. If we want to do them all, we have to go faster.
All right, keep going.
All right.
We can always just stop.
No, it's not fair because there's like a lot of the tweets at the top are like the same people because they tweeted in groups, and I'm going in order of time.
All right, we'll speed it up.
Set up 2017, what your Geek Nights pipeline looks now. Open audition, push record,
Yeah,
talk,
we plan 15 seconds into the future at most on GeekNights.
Open audition, push record, talk, go home.
Oh, no, sometimes the day we're going to do a show on GChat, one of us will message the other one and say, what are we doing the show on?
All right. Next one, a review of RIM Sonos speaker. I won that in a contest. I gave one away to a coworker because I didn't need it, and I gave one to RIM.
You know what? Exceeded expectations.
It's a speaker that you connect to wirelessly, but it needs to connect via Ethernet, like to the internet. You can't just use it like on the beach or anything. And then it plays music.
And it works real well, and the speaker quality is really high.
It only plays music, though, so it doesn't do any of the Alexa things or the Google
But I prefer
thing.
that as opposed to the Alexa thing that's listening to every word I say.
Right.
And sending it to, I assume, the government.
It's good if you have a small room and you don't have a sound system. The thing is, I have my apartment has 2 rooms and like 3 or 4 sound systems, so I have no use for this thing.
But I did not have a sound system in the living room, and it is like perfect for playing music while we're cooking.
Right. How to computer good. You should just do what Scott do, because I'm the best at computer.
Use computers.
Yeah.
And use computers,
Actually try-
and when something breaks, learn it. Like, figure out what happened.
My number one recommendation is when you're doing things on your computer, do not customize the computer or the software. Don't change the settings. Leave everything as default, and instead change yourself. Say, all right, these are the settings. This is how this works. These are the keyboard shortcuts. Don't change them, right? Don't go changing your bash shell to some other shell. Say, like Z shell or some shit, right? Say, all right, this is the shell I have. What can I learn? How can I better myself? What reflex can I build? What can I do to change me to make me better at this rather than trying to make the computer easier? And that's how you get better at computer. That's what I do.
I mean, it's hard because the way I actually became good at computers was computers used to be shitty and hard to use, and I wanted to play games. So I had to learn a bunch of stuff I hated just to make the games work, and that by default made me good at computers. So try to do things with computers.
Anyway, tech of Formula E racing. I don't know. It's a battery-powered F1 car. I don't know anything about it.
Wait, so any suggestion like that, the answer is always the same? We don't actually know anything about that, and we very rarely are willing to do any amount of research for Geek Nights.
Right, so if we did that show, it would literally be us reading the Formula E Wikipedia page out loud, and that's not
that show would only be
stopped doing
interesting
those shows,
if we got into Formula E, which
or
we're
if
not
we had
yet.
or if we had a guest, that knew something.
Which we're lazy and we haven't gotten guests in a while.
Enterprise level software development / management. What the hell does enterprise even mean? Software is software.
No, so I would say the definition of enterprise software is very complex software aimed at achieving very complex, user experiences while simultaneously having extremely niche audiences and necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like, what even counts as an enterprise? It's like a.
well, I mean, obviously, there's no
how
like.
big does a company have to be before it's an
Obviously,
enterprise?
there's no specific line because that would be stupid, and that's a stupid argument.
That's what I'm pointing out, is that it's stupid.
But at the
And a
same
stupid
time,
argument.
the way enterprise software, beyond a certain point on this sliding scale, there's a point beyond which the complexity, coupled with the small number of potential customers or users, coupled with the need for that thing because it's a very important niche, that's what makes something enterprise software. And I could probably talk for a few hours about that because I've been a product manager of enterprise software for like a decade.
All right. Anyway, adoption.
There's a whole show there. I think
Adoption
that's a good idea.
of IPv6. Where's it at? Why hasn't it taken off more by now? What will be the next major turning point? Didn't we do this already?
So long ago that stuff's changed. But so when we were at RIT, here's the quick version. IPv6 was like a common thing, and I got space on the 6 to do a project to like learn how IPv6 worked, like back before. And you know what happened to that class? I got bored and I withdrew because fuck it, I didn't care. And that space eventually expired. And the reality is IPv6 does not affect normal people at all, and it never will. I cannot imagine the person.
We've used NAT so much that IPv6 isn't going to come.
Well, no, it's just that normal people in your house, it doesn't matter how IPs are assigned.
Oh, yeah, it's true. If your ISP just switched to IPv6 and it rolled out, you wouldn't even know. All the technology that you have supports it. Windows supports it. Mac supports it. Your router supports it. As long as it's a new enough router, which it probably is, because even in Beacon, we had routers that supported it.
But more
importantly,
importantly,
if your ISP just switched you to IPv6 and all the websites in the world switched to IPv6 and everything, you wouldn't even fucking know.
Now, that's partly because there are some... we could do a show on that maybe someday.
Anyway.
But the problem is, I would have to do a little more research because the state of the backplane of the internet and like the way IP addresses are used and the way routers, like the way routing tables are structured, has actually changed a lot in the last decade or so. And I'll be honest, my personal knowledge of that off the top of my head is out of date. So I'd have to do a little bit of research. College was a long time ago, and the protocols I know are literally obsolete.
Anyway, all right, the next one, the fixed protocol. We did that already.
I could do a whole show on the fixed protocol.
They actually wrote it correctly, though. What is wrong with CenturyLink? I assume that's someone's ISP.
CenturyLink.
And why do they have outages every goddamn week?
I've never heard of CenturyLink.
I assume it's someone's ISP, because your ISP sucks.
Home and business.
Yeah, why?
But where? Where are they?
I don't know.
I can't figure this out.
Why 50% of your IT outages are sysadmins making mistakes? That's incorrect. 100% of your IT outages are sysadmins making mistakes.
No, 98%. The other 2% are legit coordinated attacks from the outside.
The point is, if you set your shit up, it's possible to set shit up to be absolutely impossible to take down. It just costs more money. So if it goes down and you didn't, it's either because A, it wasn't worth keeping that thing up in the face of attack because it wasn't that big a deal. Like the GeekNights website is not really protected from a lot of things because it's not worth spending the money to protect it from all those things.
If the GeekNights website goes down at midnight, we'll fix it like in the morning. I don't need to be woken up.
Yeah, it's like, because I don't care. But if you have something that you actually need to keep up all the time, it is possible to spend enough money and build a system that basically is going to be up all the time.
Now, the other reality is that it comes down...
Like, when's the last time Google search went down?
Wait, I think we could do a real Monday show on uptime. Like as a general, like uptime itself. I feel a show there.
All right, anyway, where modern tech would be without caffeine, it'd be just fine. I don't drink caffeine.
I drink caffeine. I feel like tech would be fine, but caffeine is just one of the many tools I have in my tool chest.
I think that the culture of it's possible the culture of Silicon Valley startup work crazy hours might be diminished somewhat because those people wouldn't be able to work those crazy hours.
No, those people would just use cocaine or something.
Possibly.
I also feel like the glorification of caffeine in nerd spaces. This has been going on since like Mountain Dew.
Since before we were alive.
Before there were energy drinks in office culture, but it really picked up in like nerd tech culture. I honestly feel like the reason that happened in nerd tech culture specifically is because nerds are too afraid to do real drugs, but they wanted to have a little bit of edge, so they talk about like how badass they are drinking the caffeine to stay up all night.
I don't know.
I feel like that's where that came from.
Anyway, building HVAC and why power losses result in so much heat.
I could talk about building HVAC. That's a show. I actually know a lot about it.
I don't know anything about HVAC. I know how air conditioner works.
What kind of air conditioner?
The kind you put in your window.
What's the difference between one that has one? So the kind you put in your window. What about the ones that sit in the room and have tubes coming out of them? How are they different?
Isn't that the same thing? Only instead of sticking out the window, it just has a tube.
What if there's one tube versus two tubes? What's different? Why is there one tube versus two?
If there's two tubes, one's in and one's out.
But so how does a one tube one work?
It just, instead of having an in tube, it just is an in on the front. It's in the room.
All right, and why is that different? Why does that matter?
I don't know, because you want to use tubes instead of vents.
I could do a show on this. That's another one too.
Well, I don't know anything about air conditioning. I'd end up reading the Wikipedia page.
All right, let's see. HVAC and
we're not
uptime.
talking about this anymore. We're moving on. SSO. I assume that means single sign-on.
Oh my God! I've been dealing with single sign.
You basically have one system just that does the logging in and the logging out, and then all the other systems, instead of having their own logins and logouts, talk to that system. That's how you can log in with Google on a different site that isn't Google.
Single sign-on is actually a pretty complex topic.
Which also, that uses OAuth when it's on the web, but if you're doing it like locally, you might use something like Active Directory or LDAP.
So single sign-on is complicated because actually it's been changing.
PAM.
It's been changing a lot lately, especially with like websites and web applications.
Yep.
Like on the high level, it's really simple. Like you use credentials from one site and you trust those credentials to then let someone access another site. But the details of how you do that in a secure manner is actually really complicated. And it's a combination of front-end development, back-end development, APIs. That's probably a whole show, but I don't know enough depth about it.
All right. SSL. They're like SSO, and the next tweet was SSL.
I think we did one on SSL.
We may have. The thing with SSL is that it's hard to actually. It's such a mess that it's hard to learn it for reals. It's
SSL certificates, July 27th, 2009.
Right, but it's basically you're just gonna read.
I think we might have
had
a bad opinion back then. Tonight on Geek Nights, we talk about the SSL certificate racket.
Yeah, there was a racket where the people selling the certs.
Yeah.
The racket is, by the way, gone. You can now use encrypt anywhere. What's it called?
Oh yeah, so
Let's Encrypt. That's the site.
I feel like because of really shitty use of those certificates, that increasingly people are going to distrust them. So
you think Let's Encrypt is going to get distrusted?
I think Let's Encrypt is going to get distrusted.
I think Let's Encrypt is actually legit.
Oh, I think they're legit. I think that there's going to be a tipping point. The problem with SSL certificates,
Chrome and trust them. So
for
does
now,
Firefox and IE.
I'm leery. I have opinions. We could do a show.
The point is the racket has been busted.
We could do an updated SSL show because 2009 was a long time ago.
All right. IT heuristics. Why you know before everyone else does what the problem is based entirely on your monitoring.
Have we ever done a show on monitoring?
I think we have.
I think we talked about SNMP.
I don't know. Ad hoc networks. I took ad hoc networking class in college. Ad hoc networking never really took off because it's such a pain in the ass.
It's the best use case for ad hoc networking would be at a convention. But no one's ever made it work because you need all the devices to play games and play ball.
Pretty much the most you're going to get is the little airdrop on your iPhone.
And during a disaster, and same problem, it's a really complicated problem.
Anyway, decentralized networks and how you can prepare for providing a network that's really difficult to take down for protests and the like.
That's basically the same question.
Same question.
So the pirate boxes that we talked about a long, long time ago. We used to, if you watch our old panel videos, you see us
you can make mesh networks. The problem is it's the physicality of it is so difficult. Right? And
modern pirate boxes are way better, and they have a lot of embedded software.
Yep.
So you're not going to make a mesh network that has a wide radius, but you can spin up a localized Wi-Fi, and if you overpower it, you'll probably be able to do okay to basically have a 4chan equivalent that's local right there for organizing within the radius of that thing.
Anyway,
there's a show we could do.
Modern signal jamming solutions. I don't know if you're talking about how to signal jam or how to avoid signal jamming, but I know nothing about it.
I know.
Get a better and more powerful radio antenna than the other guy.
I know about that from classes I took at RIT, and that knowledge is literally 100% obsolete in the modern era.
All right, the next one is CRISPR, CRISPR.
CRISPR could change fucking everything.
Is that the DNA thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it other than that it's a DNA thing.
So here's the show we could, if we were going to do a show on that.
I thought first I was like, are they talking about the DNA thing or are they talking about some startup called CRISPR?
Yeah. So I feel like
because there's no E in between the P and
I
the
feel
R.
like we could do a show on that, but it would be almost like a tech transfer show.
I know nothing about it. So
Oh no! What we talk about is like our opinions on the implications of increasingly directed like genetic manipulation of humans.
do it.
I feel like but
Haven't you watched Gundam New Types? Yay!
but also, haven't you read The Prince of Nothing? Perhaps novel genetic experimentation on all of our babies at the same time is not the best idea.
Well, listen. While I may
You need to
enjoy
keep pure stock. You need to keep pure
My Prince
natural
of Nothing
stock
fandom
just
is-
to regress to the mean
while
in
my
case I
Prince
fuck
of
it up.
Nothing fandom is probably greater than my Gundam fandom,
Yeah?
I believe the real world is closer to Gundam than it is to Prince of Nothing.
I do, but remember also the fundamental problem of Gundam, especially Gundam Seed, where that was kind of a big part of the plot, is that the consequence of increased genetic manipulation was better individuals who are just better in literally every way, coupled with decreased fertility and long-term consequences that might end the race anyway.
We don't need more fertility because if we're living in space stations, we need less people up there.
Yeah, but the problem is that we don't have a pure understanding, and some traits that are beneficial might be intrinsically linked to traits that are
Let's put
undesirable.
some selection pressure on there.
Yeah, but I'm saying it's a very complex thing, and we are not smart enough to grasp it, and I
Anyway.
feel like we'd end up doing what the Inkroi did.
All right. Anyway, wells. Where does the water come from, and how do they run dry? Poisoned wells. Differences between modern and medieval wells. Hashtag will it end well? This is because I wrote in the original tweet, our well has run dry. They're commenting on that. I
know a little more about wells than I should because we have a friend who literally digs wells for a living.
Yep, we could get him on the show. He's got a
Her
well.
too.
Yeah, it's basically a family-run business, right? There's two people that we know that are awesome nerds in California who have a well-digging business. They know everything there is to know about wells. We could get them on to talk about wells. Is that science and tech?
I know what an artesian well is. I remember that from like 7th grade physical science. I just don't know a ton about wells in detail.
Yeah. Anyway, predict the future on tech 2017 to 2019. Didn't we do this already?
Not for 2019.
I don't know.
Let's do it right now. Let's each make one prediction for something in tech that'll be in 2019.
Incremental improvements. VR won't take off. Nothing that's AI won't take off. None of the things that are hyped now are they're all garbage. Stuff will just get incrementally better. And I do think that, I don't know about Internet of Things, but there definitely be more computerization of, things that are not currently computer controlled.
I think we're going to see legit murders and big robberies enabled by Internet of Things, security issues by 2019. And I think AI will really fuck up gaming and start to win all games.
Oh yeah, I don't mean that people think about the AI in terms of sci-fi AI or the Amazon Alexa AI, that kind of stuff. No one wants to I don't think people really want to interact with Cortana or fucking Siri or whatever, that kind of AI. Right?
I do if it's smart enough.
Yeah, it's bullshit. But I don't want to talk to my fucking computer.
I do if it's smart. I would be interested in having a sentient Tachikoma as my
not
computer.
Not AI, but machine learning. In terms of solving the problems it's good at solving, the statistical learning, which I don't consider that to be AI because it's not thinking. It's just statistical, really highly advanced statistical models.
I have opinions I'm not going to get into now because we're running out of time.
For making decisions to solve certain kinds of problems.
I just read 3 dense textbooks on machine learning and AI, and I have opinions.
But that is going to solve some problems and also create, better solutions to things and increase efficiencies in many areas that will change society.
I think specifically the list of the types of problems that machine learning solutions can solve
will expand
to a dramatic degree and will fuck some stuff up.
Things that you think a computer can't do, it's going to be able to do.
I think any video game will have perfect AIs by 2019, just
maybe.
about.
All right. The Russian hacking scandal, election-related or otherwise, what's real, what's not, who worldwide might actually be at risk. I don't have enough information about it. If I did, I would be making some money, getting paid off by journalists to give them my good info.
I could probably give a really good summary and a lot of opinions.
We could guess, but we don't know a lot of facts.
I know a lot of facts because I read about this a lot.
But there's not too many facts to know.
There's more than you think. There's a lot of interesting information out there that's legit. You just don't read those kinds. You don't read all the Washington Post articles about it. I don't know. I got a lot of opinions on that. I could do a show on that.
Tweet. this article, it's a link to an article. I'm pulling up the article. Ideal OS, rebooting the desktop operating experience. Desktops are dead. Next.
Desktops are not dead. Desktops have become a professional tool. A desktop computer or a desktop operating system in 2017 is the equivalent of the toolbox that an artisan carries with them. Normal people don't carry toolboxes everywhere, but artisans do.
Anyway, how does AI even work?
Also, Linux desktop, like fucking just burn it all and start from scratch. Windows desktop's actually pretty fine.
How does AI even work? Can a set of instructions ever be truly alive? Are meat brains alive or just a combination of senses? Solipsism, next question.
Yeah, but there's no difference between meat brains and computer brains in the long run. They're just technique.
Yeah. Wait, I got a few more. This is someone who submitted a bunch, apparently.
All right.
Debugging device drivers. I don't know anything about that.
I
I guess a lot of times you're bringing out the oscilloscope to see what your hardware is doing.
So, in terms of the consumer side of that, the last time I had to debug device drivers was when I had some FireWire shenanigans where some FireWire chipset shit wasn't working.
Yeah, I guess I don't know if they're asking about debugging it from a user perspective, like you're trying to set up your drivers, or you're developing a driver for a piece of hardware you have and it's messed up.
So on the consumer side, you know how I solved that? I said, fuck it. I disabled the chipset that I couldn't get to work, and I just bought a PCI Express card that Google said would work with the device I had, and that was how I debugged it.
Yep. Debugging distributed systems. It's hard because things are on different computers.
You know what that turns into? We could do a show on debugging, like how you actually figure out the root of a problem. I feel like that might be a good
Start
show.
at one end, work to the other end, process of elimination. The same way I solve every problem.
I feel like, I feel like we could do a few case studies and like give some examples of like the kinds of tools we use.
Anyway, general fun uses for tech skills outside the workplace. Games.
Yeah.
Video games. Setting up a home lab. I don't know what you mean by that.
I don't do science.
Why star Nix directory structures are exactly the layout they are. Because some dude had an old computer and he had a directory structure. And then they had to add a hard drive to it because it fucking ran out of space. And they mounted that hard drive on USR. So now there's bin and useR bin because one hard drive ran out of space. And then they had another fucking hard drive because that one ran out of space. So they made it var. And then because everyone copied that computer, they had the same fucking directory structure, even though they made it more complicated. And everyone copied everyone else. And all the software is written and coded to these old-ass
The history of the Unix file system is literally people doing what people before them did because they assume that that's a standard for some good reason.
And now it is, and there are Linux distributions that fix it and give you like directory structures that make perfect sense and use English words like /software, /home directory, whatever, but no one uses that shit, and you're going to have a lot of annoyances if you try to use it.
Yep, but at the same time, I have annoyances using it because a lot of software doesn't play nice in that space. Like, especially enterprise software, usually just install that in, like, opt because it's monolithic and it needs its own shit altogether.
Anyway, all right. Phone app updates, your go-to Twitter versus Tweetbot and bullshit likes in timeline. So, I guess...
I don't know what a good third-party Twitter app is.
I use Tweetbot. It's great.
It is?
And it's not free, though. People always want something that's free, right? It's like, dude, you're using your Twitter app more than anything, right? And you're complaining about things like ads and likes in your timeline that don't belong there. It's like, just pay for the fucking third-party app. It's like $3, even if it's $10, $50. You're using this every goddamn day, multiple times a day. It gets no ads, no bullshit. Your timeline is perfect. You don't deal with any of the bullshit. Do not use the actual official Twitter app, and you'll have no fucking problems. I use TweetDeck on the desktop, no problems. And that's free. But I guess phone app updates. Update every app all the time. Like,
yep.
If an
app asks for new permissions, decide right then and there if you care about the app enough to let it know that thing.
Or just delete the app.
Yep, one of the two.
But yeah, it's like, don't be afraid to fucking pay for apps. The pay for apps are a lot of times better.
Wanted to stop? We've gone over an hour.
That's the last one.
Oh, nice.
That's why I was rushing.